Our next guest is here to help us introduce a concept that's very misunderstood in the automotive industry, leasing. Please welcome to our show, George Green, Operations Manager of Wild West Chevrolet. George, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having us here, Mitch. Appreciate it.
Leasing is very misunderstood, and many consumers may ask, which is better, a lease or a purchase today?
Well, when you look at a lease, you have to look at how you want to look 3 years from now or 2 years from now or 4 years from now. So there's a lot of programs out there right now that really benefit a customer to lease a vehicle. So it really depends on the consumer and what they're looking for. How many miles a year they drive, or are they more interested in changing the vehicle every couple, 2, 3 years? Keep up with the latest technology. And so it really depends on the individual where somebody considers it.
I think one of the most misunderstood concepts of leasing is the change in language, but there's a lot of similarities to a purchase. It's just basically an alternative form of financing.
Correct.
So let's take them through some of the lease language so they can better understand the terms of a lease.
Certainly. When you buy a vehicle, there's a selling price. Well, in a lease, there's called a cap cost, pretty much the same number. There's also what they call a residual or a lease end value. So what they're telling you up front, when you contract, they're saying that they're guaranteeing the vehicle will be worth X amount at the end of their term. So, lease end value, cap cost, the difference is depreciation. So that is part of a payment. There's also your money factor or your interest rate. Both are figuring the price of, like on a lease, you're going to figure the interest on the full amount for over the term. Where in a finance contract, it's going to be prorated over the term of the loan. So there's a lot of similarities, but you can break down the walls a little bit, but it's a selling price, cap cost. It's pretty basic.
You mentioned capitalized cost. Basically, that's what the bank buys the car for because they purchase the vehicle when they lease it to you.
Certainly.
And people really should be concerned about what that cost is rather than just looking at a monthly payment when it comes to a lease.
Well, I agree with that. And, that higher that cap cost or that selling price, certainly the payment's going to reflect that. So, at Wild West, we sell everything, whether you purchase it or lease it, at a preferred price, which is clearly stated on the GM invoice.
Well, I understand two things today, George, that you brought with you. One is a lease versus a loan comparison for our community, and the other is that you have a special promotion to offer our TCBA TV, the Car Buyer Advisor television audience.
We do. First, let's get into the comparison. What I brought today was, if you look at a lease versus a loan type of purchase, buying a $23,000 vehicle with a 48 or 49% lease end value, or roughly $11,000 over a 36 months term, with the first and security roughly down, your payment's going to be roughly around $388, $389 a month. So
that's with about $1,000 out of pocket.
Yeah. So you take the same car, $23,000 selling price, with $1,000 down, over 36 months at 0% interest, it comes out to about $611 a month. So that's about $220 a month savings just out of the chute. Now, I know a lot of people don't finance cars for 36 months. They're out there in that 72 months. So basically, you can buy a vehicle and build that equity over 72 months, or you can get something newer every 3 years. You also compare it with a loan at 6%, let's say. That same $23,000, the same $1,000 down, your payment comes out to about $670 a month. So it's a dramatic difference of what the lease payment can bring to the table, and certainly can bring a lot more car for a more affordable payment.
One of the greatest benefits of leasing is at the end of the term,
yes,
you don't have to worry about the value of a vehicle. And with what has happened in our economy recently, that could be a huge benefit to.
It certainly is, Mitch, and you'll find that that's what attracts a lot of people to leasing, is that at the end of the term, and we sell walk-away leases, which means literally you can come in, bring in the keys, as long as the car's in the same condition, you walk away from it. No obligation. Maybe pay a small disposition fee, but that's it. So that's a real attractive benefit to leasing a vehicle.
If the car's worth less money, you just let the bank take the loss.
Correct.
And if it's worth more, you have an option to purchase it at the end of that.
You certainly can buy it at the end of the lease. You can buy it and then resell it yourself. So there are some options available to you that really do make it attractive.
And how about that special you have for our audience?
From now, when this airs, until the end of February, anybody that comes in and purchases a brand-new Chevrolet from us, we're going to provide the first year of service for no charge to the customer.
Okay, you heard it here on TCBA TV at Wild West Chevrolet. The first year of your services
Yes.
included, just for mentioning, you heard about them on our show.
Sure. And preferred price, service for a year, and obviously we're going to get you all the rebates that we can and incentives. So
That's George Green with Wild West Chevrolet. How can they get a hold of you?
wildwestchevrolet.com and 775-463-3456.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Mitch.